Although it may not look like much now, the desolated and destroyed building behind me was once considered the most efficient timber mill in the whole of Australia. Just 4 hours down south, you run into a post-war town frozen in time. But now it's just a quiet and nice holiday resort overrun by wildlife. So what happened? How did one of the most efficient and largest timber mills in all of Australia just crumble? What happened to Donnelly River?
Just because it's just a really simple kind of place to come. People can really chill out. They can really just relax. It's back to basics. It's so different to most people's lives. And the cottages are really basic. So yeah, the wildlife, everything's fantastic. So it's excellent that, city folk particularly, but anyone can come here and sort of experience that 1950s kind of lifestyle.
All cabins resemble the same 1940 style but elevated. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, lounge room, bathroom, and a porch. Built at the same time was the school. The school was built a little later to provide the workers' children a place for education. The school consists of 5 classes, 2 buildings, and a basketball court. These 2 small buildings, however, have now become a Donnelly River shelter for people in need. There's also a beach volleyball court, an oval, and a flying fox that were built later. Now the school has become some sort of museum, explaining the history of Donnelly River. However, the most beloved part of Donnelly River is most definitely the wildlife. Kookaburras, emus, and kangaroos roam almost every area of the resort. But especially the general store, where people can buy snacks and foods for humans and animals.
Well, I work here, and it's the best place that I've ever worked. And I would say it's probably because it's surrounded by nature. So I've got a nice view driving in, I've got a nice view while I'm here, and I'm dealing with people who love the place. So there's sort of no negative.
So I originally came here with my dad in 1978, which is the year the mill shut. So I was like a boy at school, and we drove through the village, and then for 30-something years I didn't think anything about it, and then it came up for sale, and a whole bunch of us got together and bought the village. So yeah, it was an awesome coincidence. I still had the memory of the place and always wondered what was going to happen to the mill town, because the mill was about to shut. So
none of this would have existed, however, without the most important structure of them all, the Donnelly River Mill. After World War II, almost every country involved was short on supplies, including timber. The Uyghurs decided to profit off this by investing in a small timber mill down south from Perth.
To begin with, the Wheatley family, and there's Wheatley's still in Bridgetown, started a mill here. It was predominantly, pretty sure it was jarrah, it was hardwood, and it was for furniture. And they started the mill, and the Bunnings family, who were getting bigger and bigger, offered them, to buy it, and then turned it into a bigger concern. Then created the village for their staff. Then also, because it was so far away from everywhere, it had all its own, education, school, health nurse. They'd bring their babies into the health nurse. They had their own, this general store sold everything from nails to lollies to curtains, you know, or cloth to make curtains. So, you know, it did it all here. Obviously, a lot of them didn't have a car, or they only had one car, so, you know, they were pretty much stuck here. And so they had to be sort of self-sufficient, I guess.
So the Donnelly River Mill was the #1 mill for the Bunnings family. It was their pride and joy. It was sort of built in 1949, the mill, I think, and the village in 1951. And it was state-of-the-art technology. So it was a real new industrialised mill post-war. And it had a lot of people coming over from overseas to work in it and the like. So
I think the mill only run for about 26 years from when they built it to when they shut it down. And a lot of the people from like war-torn Europe ended up living here, came straight off the boat and came down here. And it used to be a real party town back in the day.
Although it unofficially opened in 1950 due to complications, the Donnelly River Mill would finally see sunlight in 1951.
Well, it was the first steam-driven mill in the state, and it also had all its running mechanisms under boards that were safe. So they actually had women also working in the mill, and normally they didn't. So it was actually considered a very safe mill to work in. It was very efficient because I think that they had the forest around them. They didn't have to go too far.
The mill grew, being recognised as the most efficient timber mill on the whole continent. With its close-by water supply and its dedicated workers, the mill thrived. In 1951, a school, general store and cottages were all built for the workers and their families. This even furthered the commitment. So how did such a well-respected, well-constructed and important mill close not even 30 years later?
it was their pride and joy until Dean Mill burnt down and they got an insurance payout and they built an even better mill at Dean Mill and then they shut this one down.
This was ultimately their downfall in 1979 when it closed. In this closing, however, it was all preserved exactly how it was. It now serves as a relic of a time unseen by most, the 1950s. Practically untouched. But so was everything else. The cottages, school, everything was still kind of useless now.
Yeah, when the mill closed, the families didn't want to move. So they stayed and they worked elsewhere. So they still lived here because they didn't want to leave, but they went and got work at other mills.
All these things had costed a hefty amount of money and were still important to some people, and no one really knew what to do with them. Until a few years later, where it would commence its new life as something even better. What are you doing? The mill was quickly turned into a holiday resort in the early 1980s and hasn't looked back since. It has been in operation for over 40 years now. He said he loves it here, and I have to agree with him. In 2006, it would be listed as WA Heritage, and 2016 would win an award. The holiday resort is now run by a small group of community-minded people, like the Friends of Donnelly River Village, who are recording and preserving the heritage. They've recently won commendation at the 2020 Heritage Awards and also won highly commended in the permanent exhibition in the 2020 Museums and Galleries National Awards. Me and my family have been coming here for 8 years now, and there's a reason why we keep coming back. Thank you to all those involved. Thank you to all the people I got to interview, to all the wildlife that I got to meet. Thank you to Donnelly River for being the best place on earth, and most of all, thank you for watching.